proper tire pressure is crucial for off-road and on-road driving. When going off-road, the lower you can get your tire pressure, the more surface area your tire now has to contact. It expands that contact patch on the ground and allows that tire to give you more grip. So before we go off-road, once we've been on-road and then we start to go off-road, we stop and air down, let pressure out of our tires. On the Humvee, I have what's called a dual beadlock tire rim, where it's a split rim, and either the stock version has a run flat in it. I happen to have a Trail Fab or the aftermarket insert that gets rid of the run flat, but that particular insert puts pressure on both sides of the tire and the rim when the two-piece rim bolts together and creates a dual beadlock. With a dual beadlock, you can run virtually zero tire pressure. Your tire's not going to break loose from the rim. A lot of times, 5, 10 pounds, whatever, you have to figure out what makes most sense for your rig and air it down. I found that airing down from 20 street tire pressure to 10 gives me a good range and a lot better ride off-road. So let's get outside and start airing down. So airing down is a bit of a process. Depending on how you're set up. There are a lot of ways to do it, but I'll typically, go with my pocket knife, get my valve stem loosened, and then 19.5 right now. I'm going to just start going around and airing these down. Keep airing them down and checking them, until we get it to where we need it. Got to do this 4 times. It's kind of cold out here right now. Wind's really whipping, and we're on the backside of actually a blizzard. So I'm going to work my way around. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So that devilishly handsome fellow right over there, airing down his tire with his pocket knife and a tire gauge, is me from the past. So me from the future is about to step in and completely change his world. I've actually gone ahead and preset all these for you as well to 10 psi. So once you screw these on, you can get inside the truck, warm up, and when they're done, you're ready to ride. Hey, I like when they give these a try. Okay, sure. I have here Staun Tyre. That's the Australian British version of Tyre. Well, this is handy looking. Let's see what happens. Well, we are that tire right now is losing air, and that's a good thing because we have 4 tires to lose air from, and we happen to have 4 of these in our pack. So I'm going to go around and put one in each tire, and that way they'll all air down about the same amount of time and I can get out of this cold. Alright, so now we just wait. We're airing down. I can enjoy some heat, warm back up, see what's going on in the world, and let the valve stem tools do the work for me. Yes, it's me again, that incredibly, devilishly handsome dude from the future who happens to be you. Oh, you devilishly handsome stranger from the future. And since I am you, I know how much you're going to enjoy those particular tire valves. Now, how about you go back to the garage where it's warm and show people how to adjust those things. As my future self so clearly demonstrated, what a devilishly handsome looking fellow. He had already adjusted these to 10 psi. So when these go on to a fully inflated tire, I'm just going to screw them onto the valve. It's going to start letting down. Now, this isn't going to let the tire down faster than using a tire tool or a pocket knife or screwdriver, but it's going to let it down without the need to babysit it continuously. And just like that, it's done. So let's check out C. How we're doing. Here we go. Let's find out. Well, look at that. 10.5. So close enough to 10 for me. Obviously, maybe a little minor adjustment here and there, but that went right down to 10.5 without any intervention between now and then. This is our Staun Tyre Deflators. They come with a little pouch, and they actually say Staun products right on this ring right here, right on that adjuster ring. They say Staun products. Now, you might be tempted, like past self for me, and you cruised around on the internet, and maybe you went over to Amazon or wherever, and you found a set for a lot less money. In this case, this is the Spurtar. Spurtar. Not to be confused with Staun, but they both start with an S. So this is the Spurtar. Spurtar, they look good. I mean, they look like they're made of a quality metal. There is no branding on the ring at all. And when we compare them to the Staun, I mean, they're essentially identical at first glance. Different tooling, machining for your grips here as well as here. Actually, the Spurtar has a bit more aggressive kind of grippage on it. And so, you know, there's an expectation that these two will probably perform pretty similar. I've noticed that our Staun has one little relief hole here. The Spurtar has two reliefs. You know, so theoretically, this thing is set up to really run like a rocket. But it is not. I have been disappointed in this particular model here. I don't know if maybe these are defective, but they just don't let the air out very quickly. So this valve here is our knockoff valve. It is, I've preset this one to 10 psi, and here's something I noticed about it. When you get this thing installed, yep, there it is. It is not doing anything. This tire is at 20 psi, and this valve right here has been preset to 10. And oh, there. Okay. I'm getting it to air down now by pulling on the valve, but it's really weak. Really, really weak. And just for comparison, let me show you the other valve. Okay, same tire, same pressure. This is the Staun valve that's set to 10 psi. And when I screw it onto this tire, boom, and it's on the way down. Very robust amount of air coming out. You know, I didn't have to fiddle with a valve or anything on it. Put it on, and it is busy doing its thing. Same, you know, knockoff valve here, and I put it on, and again, it's set to 10 psi. and there's just maybe a trickle. Now, I can back this off and lower the pressure, and what should happen is I lower it out, you're starting to hear some more air come out. That's going to start dropping, you know, dropping the air, and then you're going to, after you hit the point you want, you're going to lock it. But this thing is very weak. There's really nothing coming out. And look, if this is about speed and getting on the trail quicker, more accurately, watch this. Boom. Off to the races. My future self already set these to 10 psi. I can show you how easy that is. So I'm gonna change the setting on this one, and you know, I'm just gonna run it into a different point. So now it's completely uncalibrated. What you do ahead of time is you lower your tire to the air pressure that you want. And so in this case, I'm at 10.5 psi. I then take the Staun Tyre Deflator, and I've adjusted it. You can see here I'm actually turning it in. I'm going to turn the lock ring all the way in, turn the adjuster in, put this on. Now, so I'm going to adjust the main cap back. It'll start losing air, and right when it starts losing air, then I'll turn it about a quarter of a turn back. There we go. So about a quarter of a turn, and then I'll bring the lock ring up. Then I'm going to bring the lock ring. I bring the lock ring up and tighten it against that outer cap. And that's it. That's how you adjust it. So that's all there is to it. And now we're looking at tire's still sitting there at the 10.5 that we started out. Hey, and a real top tip for you, spend a few bucks and get metal caps, and hopefully you have reinforced or metal valve stems anyway on your off-roader, but this metal cap is really handy. A lot of times when we're running in mud and water and in freezing temperatures, this whole thing can turn into an ice rink, and you got to kind of chip away at it and get to it, and just a cheap plastic one would possibly split or get damaged. No tire inflator or deflator is going to do you much good if your cap gets off and this fills full of ice or mud while you're out. So another cool benefit, if you chose, theoretically, if you had the time, you could obviously maybe set this one at 6 psi, and maybe you could set this one at 10, and maybe you could set this one at 15, and whatever you want to set that one, and mark them, and then you could go around and have an instant different adjustable rate per tire, not per tire but per outing, and just take each one around. For me, for what I've been doing, I found 10 psi is really perfect for my truck. And so the amount of time it takes to walk around and put this on, sit inside, drink a warm drink, check in with a group, see what's going on, and then step back outside, you're aired down, it's nice and neat, clean, no hassles, and then you put them all back in the pack and away you go. And that's it. So obviously after we've aired down and we've enjoyed our time off-road, we need to air back up. I've tried a couple different ways of doing that, and believe it or not, for me the best product I've found so far is this Slime brand air compressor. This thing's really handy because it has a couple of features. It has a light on it, and that light is actually pretty valuable when you forget your flashlight or your headlight and you're out working in the dark. I've used that plenty of times. And it has an adjustability here. So a lot of fellows and gals, when they're airing back up, they've got their gauge and they're airing and checking and airing and checking. And of course, isn't that why we got the Staun Deflators? So we don't have to do that. So why do we have to do that when we air the truck back up? This little guy here, it does it all. Now I know there are some cordless. There are cordless models on the market to do the same thing. A lot of different types of inflators out there. I love a cordless inflator, truly do. Unfortunately though, I don't trust the batteries. And you know, if it's going to be sitting for a while, or in the case of what we're going through now, you know, sub-zero weather while we're off-road, those batteries are going to get really cold and they don't operate as well. So this guy here has enough cord. I can get around the truck and I can air it up. Let me show you how it works. Obviously, the first thing we're going to do is plug it in. I have 12 and 24 volt on board this truck, so it makes that easy. I typically do this with the engine running while I'm out, just to make sure that the alternator is keeping up with everything. But when we're just sitting here with everything off, we're at 0 PSI, obviously, because it's not connected. There's our flashlight. Allows us to eyeball our stem really well, clean it off if we have mud on it. And then we're going to put this thing on. It has a, you know, a screw-on line. It'll take us a few moments to get that screwed into place. And we're going to turn it on until we quit hearing any air escape. And we're there. Now, interestingly, my other gauge was registering at 10.5. This is showing 9 PSI. I've set my target to 20. So when I turn this on, gonna have to talk over it a bit. But when I turn it on, it's gonna run to 20 and then shut off. So now it's to 20 PSI. And it should shut off here in just a moment automatically. And there it is, 20 PSI. So very handy, no mess, go do something else, let it air up. It takes a little bit of time. It's only, you know, only 12 volt on a small cigarette lighter charge here, but it takes care of business. I'm really pleased with this particular unit, and you know, they're cheap. So my recommendation is get one that has a built-in gauge, and then you don't have to babysit it. So if you've been four-wheeling a while, or you're just getting into it, these really are some essentials that you need when you're going out. Tire pressure is key, and time is key. You want to spend your time on the trail or in the cab where it's nice and warm, or hanging out with your buds. You don't want to be babysitting your tires. So pick up a set of these Staun Tyre Deflators. In their ad, they say that they will let you down. Also, I use a Slime brand sport gauge. You can get this at Napa. I find it works quite well. I appreciate the backlighting. Again, sometimes by the time you might start on the trail when it's daylight, and by the time you get back to the parking lot or wherever the trailhead is, it's night. So it's nice to have an illuminated gauge just to double check things. But really, I don't need this much anymore other than to double check if I'm preset with my deflators. And these can be bought, again, Napa, anywhere. Also, for the inflation, just too simple, too neat, too clean. This little slime unit is wonderful. You can buy these at Napa. You can buy them online. I'll put a link in the description to where we got these off of Amazon. And again, these can be purchased Napa, online, anywhere else. Any good tire gauge that you're comfortable working with. And with that, past self, present self, future self, you'll thank yourself for getting the right equipment to do the job.